Feel the heart. Experience the soul. Community Pulse.
Her as a woman, this young boy who has his whole future ahead of him.
Yeah.
Can you see Allah's wisdom in this now, Sister Qadira?
Definitely.
And why Allah says stop it, because now that's why Allah they have these strong deterrents within the Quran.
Yeah. No, definitely. And
do not go near the zina.
Yes.
Do not create conditions for zina. And I found it in the Bible as well. The Bible says thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yeah.
But the Quran goes a step further where Allah says do not go near it.
Adultery.
Right? So these things have become so common. You know, amongst us, like I always say, we joke about it, we laugh about it, we make light of it.
Yes.
Right? So when we come to consider the human body from the mind of Allah, or I would say, in plain words, we see it not as something shameful and evil, but as something wonderful.
Yeah.
Now imagine I tell my children, you know, to take care of themselves because something wonderfully awaits you.
Yeah.
When you do preserve yourself, right? To be understood with clean and healthy minds in awe of the handiwork of the great designer.
Yeah.
Right? For this is what Allah beheld when He had formed it and pronounced by saying, very good. And I'm using simple terms here.
Yes.
So, and this is a biblical term I'm using here, Sister Qadra. It says, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works. I think this is the words of Nabi Dawud alayhi salam. When he actually looked at his own body. And he actually was in awe of his creator who actually designed his body in such a beautiful way and perfect way. And Allah has given each of us a marvelous human body to use as He has directed in His instruction book. The possession of such a body imposes on each individual a sacred responsibility. It is something you may use to God's honor and glory and to your own great happiness, or may misuse and abuse it to dishonor the Creator and bring degradation, shame and curses on yourself. Now look, Allah Ta'ala gives us all those commands. Because He loves us so much. Right? And but look at what we have chosen. Sister Qadira.
Temporary satisfaction.
So what we can conclude is adultery, fornication, masturbation, homosexuality are so colossally sinful because they violate, pollute, profane and destroy something so holy and so momentally righteous in the sight of Allah. And you see why Allah Ta'ala tells us why there are such strong deterrents within the Quran. So people actually say that the Quran is actually very harsh.
But there's a reason for it being so harsh.
It's for our own protection. Sister Qadira. Now, I think in my heart, Sister Qadira, if I should really sit my children down and tell them, you know, that Allah subhanahu, your fitrah in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you is so beautiful and so wonderful and so perfect. It is your sacred responsibility to preserve yourself for that beautiful moment when you enter into marriage.
And I think that is the message that is sometimes lacking, you know, in our conversations when we engage with our children. And like I said, you know, Sister Mahbooba, we need to move away from having the talk the night before your daughter or your son gets married.
Yes.
I mean, there's not enough content, there's not enough time the night before for you to comprehensively cover the content that your child needs to enter into that. Because you need to understand that you are not just sending your child into this marriage as a partner to somebody else. You're sending your child into this marriage as a partner to somebody else, as well as a future parent to someone else.
Absolutely.
And you're doing an injustice to those future children should you not fully equip your child with the correct information in a time-sensitive and an age-appropriate manner.
Absolutely, sister. I fully agree. I fully agree.
All right. Get your questions through to me via WhatsApp 0786 10 11 12. I will pose them to Sister Mahbooba. We have a bit of time, and she can, get through, give you a response to those questions. 0786 10 11 12 is the number for you to dial. Sister Mahbooba joins me in studio this morning. This is part 4 of Pathways to Sexual Courtesy. Today we are looking at the God-ordained uses of sex.
Yeah.
Now, Sister Mahbooba, the first question that has come through a little earlier on says, Assalamu alaikum, how does one encourage one's children to practice premarital abstinence without resorting to slut shaming?
I think that's what we just did now, Sister Qadira. I think we answered the question, or the listener's question.
All right. And then the
because talking about sex is not being indecent and being oghat.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's about really how we have been created and for the purpose that we have been created. So we need to put this whole this concept of sex and sexuality within the context of the Quran.
Yeah.
So if we talk about this particular topic with respect, or from an intellectual level, Sister Qadira, as well as or intellectual level as well as spiritual level, it gives it entirely different meaning.
Yeah. No, definitely.
You understand what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. And that is how Allah also, subhanahu wa ta'ala, also approaches particular topic.
Yes.
Right? Do an act that's good for your souls. Right? And if you look at how the female's body has been designed, how the male's body has been designed in preparation of that particular act, Sister Qadira, which will actually go a bit deeper when we, in later programs, that how the preparation is so necessary, because also what we need to remember, our rights and our duties is actually based on our nature.
Yes.
Right? So it's also the right of the female not to be forced.
Yeah, because things don't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's her right not to be forced. That's why we ask a hand in marriage.
Yeah, that's true.
You understand what I mean? It's for her to say yes or no. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, the one question is, can you touch on the matter about men lowering their gaze in Islam? Absolutely, Sister Qadira. The gaze is actually very, very powerful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't even talk about the touch.
Yeah.
He talks about just the eye contact. And we know, if you look at the male, why Allah speaks to the male first, it's because the way he has been designed, men are visually stimulated. You can look at a beautiful woman and be, and there's a stimulus taking place, isn't it? So that's why Allah first speaks to the male.
Yes.
And also, then Allah speaks to the female for them to lower their gaze. Right? And also, I'm not going to go into the question of this openly. Maybe we can answer via the WhatsApp.
Yeah.
But Allah Ta'ala tells us that we go unto each other in every which way you are comfortable with.
Yes.
Right? So if people are both comfortable in positions and things like that, Allah allows that.
And also with communication.
With communication as well.
And, consensus amongst each other.
Yeah,
yes.
that's important. Yeah.
All right. Then there's another question that has come through but rather a comment, Sister Mahbooba.
Yes.
And I think this is what maybe struck a chord with lots of parents. Sure, at some point everybody's child came home and said, Mommy, I have a boyfriend. Mommy, I have a girlfriend. Daddy, that kind of thing. And so this comment goes as follows. Assalamu alaikum. It would be a good idea for sister to have a program on the radio in the holidays for teenagers explaining some of these facts, especially the one she mentioned about girls giving in to boys because they think they will lose the boy, and boys using this against them, like to prove that you love me or so on and so on. And that is the reality. That our children find themselves in, these situations that they find themselves.
So that's why, Sister Qadira, we need to speak about sex and sexuality from a very young age.
Yes.
And we need to speak to them about this particular topic in a very, I would say, in a beautiful manner. to tell them how beautiful their bodies are, how perfect it has been designed, and for the particular purpose it was designed, but within the framework as ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think from that nurturing point is important, where we can speak, not when they reach the age of puberty.
Yeah. Or the night before.
Or the night before. It's a bit too late.
Yeah.
Because then already they have like been given other messages already.
Yeah.
Remember at the earlier program we said that your child must actually feel that you are the authority on the subject.
Yes.
The parent is the authority on the subject. Right?
And that is why when we have these conversations, the first half of our program is always directed to the parent to say, there's a gap in your knowledge, this is the information that you're missing. And then we give you, the skills and how exactly you should be carrying it over to your children.
Now just imagine, Sister Qadira, there's not a good relationship between the mother and the father.
Yes.
When it comes to intimacy. What can that parent really pass over onto the child?
That's true.
So it starts with us.
Yeah.
And finding the beauty of this union that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. So if we experience that beauty, Sister Qadira, then we will be able to present it in a beautiful way.
Yeah.
But if I have been forced as a mother and I was cruelly treated by my husband or vice versa, that's the only experience I know.
Yeah. And that's the experience that you carry. You pass on to your children.
You're going to pass on to your children.
And that's another cycle right there, Sister Mahbouba,
Absolutely.
that continues.
Yeah.
We spoke about the cycle of premarital fornication and adultery, and that is why these harsh deterrents exist. To be carried out in this world, and not the punishment for it is not in the year after. The punishment is in this world because it has a knock-on effect, and it has the detriment is that it has a ripple effect.
We said irremovable scars.
Yes. And it breaks down the individual, and we know, and we say this we've said it so many times, that within the context of Islam you cannot exist as an individual. You are a member of society.
Absolutely.
You are part of a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And so if one link in the chain is damaged, it just doesn't work.
Absolutely, Sister Qadira. And I really want us to use our power of choice as believers, Sister Qadira. Really not to listen to the societal messages with regards, and go straight to this book and the hadith, where it talks about the beauty and the marvel and the joy and the bliss that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has preserved with us within the framework of marriage.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Right, Sister Mahbouba, that is it for our time together this morning. I hope, inshallah, for our listeners it has been beneficial. Alrighty then. That is it, Sister Mahbouba. But you are
Feel the heart. Experience the soul. Community Pulse.